San Telmo tolled at dusk, their iron voices echoing across the valley of Aragon. Shadows stretched long across the ducal palace, where torchlight bled gold against stone walls older than memory itself. Inside the great hall, nobles in velvet and lace feasted, their laughter a shield against the storms rising beyond the kingdom's borders. Yet in the midst of this gilded revelry stood Duke Rafael de Montoya, his hand clasped tightly around that of Isabella de Cardenas, a woman who should never have stood beside him. She was no duchess. She was no lady of court. Isabella was the daughter of a fallen knight, raised in the silence of convent walls until fate, cruel and merciful both, had drawn her into his path. That night, before all gathered, Raphael had declared in a voice that silenced music and breath alike, "Your heart is bound to me until the crown is mine." The hall erupted in whispers. A duke did not bind himself to a woman of no dowry, no estate, no lineage worthy of his rank. Yet his gaze, dark and unyielding, silenced the council's protest. He was a man who bore the weight of two kingdoms' future. Spain and Castile waited upon his heir. But Isabella's heart, trembling beneath her breast, knew the peril. His words were not a promise of love, they were a command, a chain disguised as a vow. When she was alone that night, candlelight trembling over her face, Isabella whispered to the shadows, "Until the crown is his, I am a prisoner, but what then? What if I cannot love the man who owns me?" Her hands shook as she pressed them to her lips. For though she feared him, though she despised the cruelty of fate, a secret truth throbbed within her veins. Every stolen glance, every dangerous touch between them had ignited a fire she could neither extinguish nor confess. The storm had begun. And the Duke, in his hunger for the throne, had loosed a power he could not master. Her heart, her defiance, her forbidden love that would one day strike him deeper than any blade. Autumn came swiftly, cloaking Aragon in crimson leaves and sharp winds. Within the palace walls, whispers coiled tighter with each passing day. The council demanded Raphael wed Lady Elvira of Navarre, a match that promised soldiers, coin, and the crown itself. Yet still, Isabella lingered in his chambers, hidden like a secret sin no confession could cleanse. He told himself she was temporary. A possession. A heart bound to him until the crown was placed upon his brow. But each night, when he drew her against him, when he felt the tremble of her lips beneath his, the lie shattered. One evening, as thunder rolled across the Pyrenees, Isabella stood by the window, her gown pale as moonlight. "Do you not see?" she whispered, tears brightening her eyes. "The crown you chase will destroy us both. You cannot have me and have it too." Raphael stepped close, his hand seizing hers with the desperation of a drowning man. "I cannot let you go, Isabella. You are mine. Mine until my last breath." Her voice broke. "I was never yours to claim. My heart," she faltered, swallowing back the truth that could damn them both, "my heart is not a throne to be conquered." But desire betrayed her. When his mouth claimed hers, when his hands drew her into his embrace, she yielded. Every secret vow she had made to resist him crumbled like ash. Days blurred into nights, a dangerous rhythm of passion and fear. Servants whispered of her presence. Nobles raised their brows when she passed. And yet neither of them could sever the chain that bound them. Then came the night of betrayal. Lady Elvira herself walked into the chamber unannounced, her emerald eyes catching the silken fall of Isabella's hair against the Duke's bare chest. The silence that followed was more lethal than a sword drawn. "You shame your house," Elvira hissed, her hand trembling with rage. "And for what? A girl of convent walls? A nobody? You would throw away kingdoms for her." Raphael's jaw tightened. "Leave us." But Isabella knew, her presence had just doomed him. Doomed them both. From that night, the council's whispers grew into storms. Letters to the king warned of the Duke's weakness. Isabella became not only his forbidden desire, but the dagger poised to pierce his crown. And still, each night, when all should have been ended, he returned to her. Their love, born in chains, had become rebellion itself. Winter descended with cruel silence. Snow lay thick upon the battlements, muffling the world in white. Yet inside the palace, war brewed. The King of Castile had spoken. The Duke must wed Elvira within the fortnight, or forfeit his claim. When the decree was read aloud in the council chamber, Raphael's gaze slid to Isabella, seated in the shadows like a ghost. For the first time, she saw doubt in his eyes. Not desire, not defiance, doubt. That night, Isabella stood before him, her voice steady though her heart quaked. "This cannot continue. If you wed her, I will leave. If you defy the crown, we will both be destroyed." Raphael's voice broke like a man undone. "And if I lose both crown and you, what remains of me?" Her hands trembled as she touched his face. "The man I love is not a duke, not a king. He is the man who found me when I was nothing and made me feel seen. But love cannot live in chains, Raphael. Release me. He kissed her then, with the fury of a man clinging to his last breath. But when dawn came, he stood before the court, and to the world's astonishment, he spoke words that would echo through history. The crown is nothing. My heart is everything. I renounce Navarre. I renounce the throne. I choose her. The hall erupted in chaos. Nobles cried treason, priests raised curses. But Raphael did not waver. His arm wrapped around Isabella as though she were the only truth left in a world of lies. What followed was exile. They fled Aragon under the cover of night, riding through snow and shadow until the palace lights vanished behind them. They had no crown, no armies, no fortune. Only love, raw, forbidden, reckless love that had defied kings and broken kingdoms. And though the world cursed their names, though history would call them traitors, in the silence of their exile, Isabella whispered against his lips. You once said my heart was bound to you until the crown was yours. But now it is yours forever. Raphael closed his eyes, tears trembling against his lashes, and knew that though he had lost everything the world had promised him, he had gained the only kingdom that mattered. The storm had passed. The reckoning was complete. And in its ashes, forbidden love burned brighter than any crown.